Welcome back guys. Today we will see about how to handle errors in Python program. First, let's see what is an exception and the syntax of an exception. Then we will see common errors that we face during programming, and after that we will go into an example. So first, the syntax. Exception handling goes like this. For try except block. The try block has the code that may contain an error, and except block first has an exception name and a colon under which we have the code to run when an exception occurs. Next, let's see what are the common errors that we face during programming. The first one is a syntax error. When the interpreter encounters a syntax error such as misspelled keywords, a missing colon, or an unbalanced parenthesis. Next, type error. Type error is nothing but operation or function that is applied to an object of the wrong type, such as adding a string to an integer, etc. Next, name error. This occurs when a variable or a function name is not found in the current scope. Next, index error. This exception is raised when an index is out of range. Next, key error. This exception is raised when key is not found in a dictionary. Next, a value error. This exception is raised when a function or the method is called with an invalid argument or input, such as trying to convert a string to an integer when the string does not represent a valid integer. Next is zero division error. This exception is raised when an attempt is made to divide a number by 0. In the previous video, we saw when we divide 10 by 0, we will get zero division error. So these are few common errors. Let's see how to handle them. So let's start by writing a simple program that gets the user age from the terminal. So if we run this code, we will get output as whatever the number we give, right? Let's give a number 20 for the age. Press enter. We get 20 as output. But what if we give a string as input? See, you get a value error. Just now we saw this exception, that is value error is raised when a function or method is called with an individual argument or input, such as trying to convert a string to an integer when the string does not represent a valid integer. So here, instead of an integer, we are giving a string. So that's why we are not able to get an output, or we get a value error. It says invalid literal for integer with base 10. It is saying that string input is not a whole number that can be converted into an integer. So as a programmer, you should always anticipate such situations. After all, we don't want our program to crash just because a user gave some wrong input. So instead of letting the program crash, we can handle the situation and pass a error message. This is called exception. In Python, we have a constructor called try except. So let's see. We already saw the syntax here. This is the syntax for try except. So previously, when there was no try and except block, we saw that when we pass a string to this input, we get an error, value error. But now let's try the same thing again. See, this time We're not getting an error, but we get invalid input as the output. So with this try and except, we are telling Python to go ahead and try running these two lines of code. If you encounter the error of type value error, so what you have to remember is whatever the name of the exception you give, it will flag only that particular exception. So here, if you encounter an error of type value error, then print invalid input. So to be more accurate, we refer to these kind of error as exceptions. An exception is an error that crashes a program. So if our code raises an exception, then the except block will catch it and print error message. So our program does not crash. So another thing we have to remember is that we can have multiple exceptions in a single program. I mean in a single try block. So let's see an example for that now. Now we already know that we cannot divide a number by 0. So let's give the value of age as 0. So we we can catch 0 division error and print age cannot be 0. So this is how we catch multiple exceptions. Now if you have noticed the name of the exception, value error, 0 division error, you would have noticed that we are writing the name with every first letter of the word in uppercase. This is the standard practice for defining an exception. This information will be helpful when we learn about user-defined exception and create them. I hope you would have understood exception handling. Thank you for watching the video. Please do share and subscribe for supporting tech.